Once a private entity enters into a contract with your public entity, everything becomes public.
Yeah.
If you're a young person and listening and you want to be your own boss, it's not that easy like that. That convenience is not going to be coming from you owning your own job. So you better start learning the soft skills as soon as possible.
We live in a country where when private companies are moving up and partnering with the state to ensure that we improve efficiency and revenue collection, in this case, people don't think about efficiency. They are thinking about the money that is being made by Hubtel.
Interpersonal skills, communication, and being accountable, being held accountable. Someone will just go like, I'm not feeling well, I can't come to work, and they are probably in bed sleeping,
If you look at the ecosystems in Kenya, for instance, it's dominated by foreigners. But in Ghana, it's not like that.
I argue. Most of the companies have a lot foreign influence. Most of them.
Yeah.
But it's not as widespread as other places.
Yes.
Welcome to Building Bytes, where we tell relevant stories about Ghana's tech ecosystem to drive growth and innovation. This is the episode 28 of our Hall of a Decade season, where we are speaking with professionals and startups who have been in existence for over a decade and more. So today we are discussing the critical role of hubs in driving digital transformation with Mr. Yaw Adu-Gyamfi. You're warmly welcome.
Thank you very much.
So Mr. Yaw Adu-Gyamfi is the chairman of the Ghana Hubs Network. Yaw leads over 70 hubs across the country, leveraging technology and entrepreneurship to address local development challenges. We'll explore the mission of Ghana Hubs Network, Yaw's leadership journey, and how hubs are key to building a strong entrepreneurial ecosystem in Ghana. My name is Akweley, and I'm here with So Yaw, what happened in tech?
Great. So we'll be highlighting a number of stories that has been keeping us talking in the Ghanaian ecosystem. So the first one has to do with BOG. So Bank of Ghana has introduced a new coin, fiscal coin, to help Ghanaians diversify their savings and investment options. I don't know what you guys think about this.
Well, I think it's innovative. I wouldn't say it's a tech initiative, but it's an innovation. Innovation in the sense that the idea is to move people away from holding dollars and to holding gold coins that would sort of reduce the pressure on the city. What comes to mind is then what happens to the city? So a lot more people hold the gold coin. What happens to the CDs that people have? And so that has to be put to good use at some point. So
I think they'll be buying the coins with CDs, not dollars. So there's still the CD in the coin. That's how I see it. But what do you think about it?
I mean, was it Zimbabwe who launched a coin? I think it failed. I don't know what the dynamics are, but I mean, having the Ghana CD play an important role in terms of investments, and so, for instance, if a foreign company wants to invest in any Ghanaian initiative and they have to use the Ghana gold coin, I think it has a way of boosting the currency in the sense of you are purchasing with the Ghanaian currency. Yeah, so I mean, it's a good initiative, but we are also yet to really understand the implications of it, especially for businesses.
And this is coming on the back of the successful implementation of the purchase of gold by the Bank of Ghana. Now we understand that it's about $5 billion of gold that we purchased, and so the coin also gives the government the opportunity to be able to also mop up a lot more dollars, so that we can improve on our balance of payments at the moment. So let's see. There's innovation in there, but like Akweley said, we don't want to go to the Zimbabwe route. We want to.
I tried this some quick research before coming, and it appears like almost every country have done this. Short term, you gain from it, but long term, it doesn't really work.
Yeah, because gold has its also some depreciation at some point, because gold is not always at the top. If you look at the trends in gold, the purchases, you would see that at some point gold prices come down. And so when they do come down, I mean, what's the innovation beyond just people purchasing the coins? We need to have a situation where at some point when the prices are coming down, there's also some innovation to be able to address the challenges that may arise.
Great. So move on to our second story. Achieve, the savings and investment app, has released a new feature to help its customers or Ghanaians invest in top US companies. So they're calling the feature Global Tech. And I think it's quite innovative. I mean, they're not the first company to do it, but I think they're the first Ghanaian company to do it. And I think it's quite innovative. I don't know what you think about this.
I mean, what comes to mind is, have they done the research to find out the interest, the interest level of Ghanaians and the target group? Because it's very, very important that when you do an innovation, it will be a market creating innovation, but then you need research to back it to know that over the medium to long term, you can also have that space to be able to play along with and not have a situation where in the medium to long term, you come back and you have to change strategy.
I mean, knowing Achieve, they do a lot of research, and I'm sure that's one of their test landscapes. I'm sure they're also going to find out how Ghanaians will be interested. I don't know. I think this is really great.
Will we putting some money there? So you need at least 100 CDs to get into it, and then the account has to stay for like 6 months before you can withdraw money out of it.
I mean, it's an investment.
Who are they targeting?
It didn't really state who they are targeting, but I think most of their customers are workers, and then most of them are like from Petra.
Right.
So most of them, they're playing the ecosystem.
Right. So then if they are workers, what instruments are the workers using at the moment?
Yeah.
Because we are going to disrupt that market.
Yeah.
And so once we look at the instrument they're actually investing in at the moment, are those instruments stable? If they are not, if they are stable, and yours is like a new thing that people are sort of jittery about entering into that new market. And so, I mean, more and better particulars will help us to be able to dissect the issues very well.
That's true. So moving on to the next story, one which is, I mean, trending as we are recording now. And I mean, so I'll just go straight to it. Hubtel clarifies the ECG contract and then counters some allegations. I think this is a very touchy topic.
Very touchy.
Yeah, very touchy topic. I wouldn't want to say some of the things from memory, so I'll just read a couple of the counter arguments that they made. Right. So I think this has to do with the ECG contract, and then as we speak, there are a lot of commentary online saying that like Hubtel is managing the contract in a certain way, which the contract isn't, like the real contract isn't that way. So I just highlight a number of things that they said in the press release. So one, the company refuted several claims about the nature and the cost of the service, whilst reporting substantial improvement in the Hubtel revenue collection. And it said designed to totally discredit the work of Hubtel.
So, I mean, this is not the first, press release we've heard about this particular contract, and you've seen the back and forth ongoing by, this article is from the Business and Financial Times. We've also seen Hubtel writing a blog about exactly what happened from their own end. And so, like you mentioned, is very touchy, and we'll probably just highlight some of the items on the blogs online. And I mean, since it's about a tech company in Ghana, a company that we've already interviewed before,
yes,
in one of our podcasts, in
which we have a lot of context about. So I think one of the key things that they refuted was the fact that, according to public commentary, they are saying there's a 3% charge on every transaction that was made. And then Hubtel refuted that statement, saying that there's 0.5% charge on every transaction which is made. And then also the fact that,
you know what they are saying? They are saying that every 3% of any transaction on ECG goes to
Hubtel. Which, I mean,
I think, Akweley, I think that Hubtel is a key player in the private sector Ghanaian company area. This is like the first time they are venturing into such a partnership. ECG is huge.
Yeah.
Now, the idea is that the ECG is also mainly owned by the government.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of eyes on it, right? I would say that because we are in the era of Right to Information Bill, Right to Information Act now, I think the media should go beyond.
Should request for it.
Should go beyond
hearsay.
Rhetorics and hearsay.
Yeah.
They should request for the contract because it's a public. Once a private entity enters into a contract with your public entity, everything becomes public.
Yeah.
If Hubtel was in a private contract somewhere, I mean,
no one really cares.
No one really cares. But once they are in with ECG, I would think that BNFT, for instance, and others would do a good opinion ed and put the facts out there.
Yeah, so they shouldn't just be only reporting about what Hubtel is saying.
Yeah, because
also from the facts.
Yes,
the neutral facts.
Because we are in a political season, right? And so the most important thing that the media can do for us will be to request and make the necessary research and put the facts out there.
Okay.
Try and inform people, because this is if it was a foreign entity, maybe people not be people not have heard it and it wouldn't attract a lot of furor. We live in a country where when private companies are moving up and partnering with the state to ensure that we improve efficiency and revenue collection, in this case, you people don't think about efficiency. They are thinking about the money that is being made by Hubtel. And that's unfortunate. But that's where the media should come in, do that opinion ed, and be able to inform its readers and put this thing to rest.
So I mean, we are using this opportunity to advocate to the media, those listening.
Yeah.
Great. So we're on to our last story. Ghana Digital Innovation Week opened yesterday for this year's celebration. So I think this is day 2, and then the focus is on innovating together, collaborating for digital transformation and impact. I think we are all there. We are all some way involved.
Yeah.
So what have you seen so far at the event, and then what do you think?
Well, I'll start not just from Accra, because this is it didn't.
You had the opportunity of traveling all around the country.
Everything started in Tamale, where this year, last year, Ghana Hubs Network, Impact Investing Ghana, and National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program had the opportunity to be able to win a bid to form a consortium that will host the program. So at least for the next couple of years, we'll be hosting.
That's great.
Now, that hosting involves planning, execution, and things like that. We're excited about this year's event because it's sort of we are taking certain boxes, meeting expectations, and even sort of outperforming our expectations. But it started in Tamale with the regional programs, 6 regional programs. It started in Tamale on the 3rd of September, and when we moved on to WA on the 5th, we came down to Kumasi on the 10th, went to Techiman on the 12th or in September, and then moved to Koforidua on the 17th, and on the 19th we're in Takoradi. The idea of the Road to Ghana Digital and Innovation Week was to decentralize the program and ensure that digital transformation shouldn't only be in Accra. It should be felt across the regions. And so Ghana Hubs Network, leading the Road to GDIW regional programs, one of the things we did was to bring together hubs to be able to host this. So all 6 programs were hosted by the hubs in the regions. In Tamale, it was hosted by Hubtel Academy. In WA, it was hosted by Noni Hub. In Kumasi, it was hosted by She Hub. In Techiman, in the Bono East, it was hosted by Agrico Hub. And then in Koforidua, it was hosted by Jokoem Innovation Hub. And then Takoradi by Biapa Workspace. Now, in all of these programs, what was the key distinguishing feature was the fact that the fact of ecosystem convening, where you bring in all the regional ecosystem players together, whether they are traditional leaders, they are people in academia, in the private sector, and most importantly, also government agencies and players coming together to discuss what digital transformation means to them at that region. How would it look like? I mean, how would digital transformation, for instance, in the Greater Accra region, would look different from the Ashanti, or maybe in the Eastern region.
The needs are different.
Because the needs are different. There are key distinguishing features. I mean, for instance, in the West, They say the West, the best doesn't come from the West. The best is at the West. I mean, that's what we were told when we were there. Okay. So I mean, when you say the best is at the West, we are talking, booming in oil and gas industry. Yeah. How do we use digital transformation or digital enabling tools to ensure that such companies who are in the oil and gas industry are working with local players, working with local industries, they are improving oversight responsibilities to ensure that whatever contracts that these mining companies have signed and responsibilities that they have for communities are adhered to. Yeah. I mean, digital tools can help in terms of communities even monitoring some of those agreements and also the sort of benefits that should come to them. But more importantly, there are three issues that came up in all of these regional events before we come to Accra. Okay. Now, the first issue is the need to bridge the digital skills gap. Okay. This is because there's a lot of digital skills building that is going on. Mm-hmm. But we also know that as you build skills, just like in the medical service, as you build skills, there are situations where people leave. Mm-hmm. Because you are building the skills are needed. Emerging tech skills are in hot supply. Mm-hmm. We know that there are companies, European companies that are in Ghana that are poaching people outside or helping them work remotely and paying them very good. So that's why when you want a blockchain expert, for instance, to work on a project in Ghana, it costs. It costs a lot. But the need to build more skills is ever so important because of the prevailing issues. Yeah. And how do you do that? You do that by collaborating together. Yeah. Collaborating and innovating together. And of course, at these regions, you have various players coming together, the private sector, the academia, and the government coming together. These days, they say there's a quadruple helix approach where you bring the communities along. Mm-hmm. So the community could be a physical community in a region. Mm-hmm. It could also be a virtual community, right? So you bring in communities, expert communities or physical communities along, so that together we can innovate and then also collaborate for digital impact. The second issue has to do with the issue of fluctuating connectivity. Now, I remember when we came here, you had to connect to a different source because your mobile connectivity was down, right? So there's that need to be able to upgrade our connectivity. Very, 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 very much important. As you move away, especially from the regional capitals, into other areas in the regions, you see that the core quality and then even the connectivity drops. And that's not something that we should encourage. We've gotten to a point where in Ghana, where data is almost becoming a right. So we need the players coming together, working and removing all the challenges, so that the companies can co-share infrastructure and ensure that we have a lot more improved quality. Because with improved quality comes in a lot more skills building, a lot more jobs, because people working remotely, they can stay anywhere and be able to work. Yeah. Then the third issue is answering the question of how do we effectively collaborate? Especially not just at the collaboration issues. It's very important. It's a very big issue. It's a very big issue because in the ecosystem, people like to work in silos. And it's not something that is great. And that's why for hubs in Ghana, we formed the Ghana Hubs Network. So since 2017, we tried to be able to collaborate together, work together, build the necessary infrastructure, build the necessary skills, and ensure that there are private sector and government spending that is going into the activities of innovation and the digital space as well. So we need to answer that question. It's not a straightforward answer to it, because the nature of collaboration in, say, the capital, or any of the capitals in the regions are different from the district capitals. How you build collaborations, and so increasingly you find out that hubs are stepping up, working with the relevant stakeholders, so that we are able to identify the nature of collaboration that has to take place to ensure that we are able to work together, we are able to leverage on our resources together and our expertise, and more importantly, link the enablers. I call the digital tools and innovations as enablers, because already the local economy is there. So these enablers then will sit on that local economy and ensure that we're able to improve that. And we need to answer that question. It's not been answered effectively because people have different views on it. But I think that we need to be able to push further with that triple helix approach of working government, working hand in hand with academia, working hand in hand with the private sector, including the hubs, so that we are able to address, share resources, push more, funding going into the innovation hubs, for instance, because the innovation hubs are sitting at the district level, they are sitting at the regional level, and that's what is more important, because since 2017, there had not been any facilitation of funding going to these hubs until last year, when there was a World Bank funding facilitated through the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program to get to the innovation hubs. We need more of that, where you have a lot more funding going into these hubs, and then the hubs localizing and ensuring that they're able to build the necessary skills and build the necessary ecosystem at the local level.
Great. So you are at the, I mean, we have all been to the Accra edition, but can you talk about what has happened in the past 2 days? Maybe if you can highlight our section too.
Sure. Yeah. So the opening ceremony was had yesterday, and the attendance was huge. It was great. I mean, even during registration, they had to bring everybody back inside before they were able to sort out the registration cards and all.
Really?
I mean, comparing this year's on to last year's on, I can see a huge interest, especially with regards to the educational institutions. More senior high schools came, more innovations, improved innovations. So yesterday was fantastic. Yesterday we also had building Bytes session where we listed out insights from our whole of a decade season, and in anticipation for our tech playbook, the Ghana tech playbook, which you should anticipate because we basically talk about how you would be able to do business with the local context based on the people who have done businesses for over 10 years. Yeah, you would get a lot of rich insights. And especially if you are now starting your innovation or entrepreneurship journey, you would get insights from fintech, agri-tech, education, tech, so many insights, right? So look out for it. Probably by the end of the year.
Yeah, by December.
By December, it will be published. Yes, so please do look out for it. And today we continued with a lot of conversations. So I was privileged to lead a panel for West Africa, and we were talking about the digital skills divide that you just shared, and some of the places where young people could start right from senior high school. I mean, even from junior high school, but we did have a lot of junior high school students coming. Yeah. So we started from senior high school to university. We even dissected why young people want to work remotely or freelance, and how come it has become a new trend in the work culture here in Ghana, and what young people can do if they are looking forward to starting their own businesses. We realized that it wasn't really just about convenience or, they were just feeling like they
the system demands of you. So, there are no jobs.
So that was one of the things we mentioned. The fact that we don't have a lot of jobs in the market as compared. We have a lot of digital jobs as compared to the other non-digital jobs that used to be the thing. Yes, but another thing that came up in conversations was the fact that young people somehow lack soft skills. The ability to stay in a particular place and work with a team. Interpersonal skills, communication, and being accountable, being held accountable. Someone will just go like, I'm not feeling well, I can't come to work, and they are probably in bed sleeping, that kind of flexibility is not really out of the necessity for getting their own innovations out. It's mostly because they don't want to feel the pressure of having people being accounted to. Yes, and it was one key thing we spoke about. If you're a young person and listening and you want to be your own boss, Trust me.
Yeah, HR people.
Right? Entrepreneurship, you would even work more than that 24 hours in a day. Because one of the panelists mentioned that he runs his own business, M Notify Roland.
Okay.
Yeah, Ronald. Ronald Tego, yes. He runs his own business, but he tries on Wednesdays to work from home, and those are the days he works the most. Yeah, so it's not that easy like that. That convenience is not going to be coming from you owning your own job. So you better start learning the soft skills as soon as possible. So I am hoping that tomorrow, that is the day 3, we are going to get even more people coming because the final day. And the collaboration and innovation together concepts would, see as fruitful collaborations.
Akweley talked about the fact that a lot more people came. That's true. The numbers speak for itself. And it's because we took a different dimension this year by inviting network partners. So influencers and influential organizations. Who maybe
you didn't invite us.
But you invite us. For one reason or the other, you are sort of partook in it, and also promoting the activities already. And so these organizations were the ones that also helped in pushing the word out there, ensuring that a lot more people came. And it's a bit surprising because you see, last year we held it in November, right? So this year we pushed it to October because of the election. So we're not too sure whether a lot more people and with the protest. Look at the venue where we had it with the protests, around that area, and so it's for us, we're a bit skeptical as to whether we will get a lot more people. We're conservative. We're thinking maybe 1,000, thereabouts. But then we are recording huge numbers.
Great.
And as you're saying, on before the first day, we had over 2,000 people who had registered to be in person. Not registered, you don't add the virtual. The virtual was 300 who wanted to be virtual. But the point was that people wanted to meet in person. This is the ecosystem that is characterized by remote working and engagement and things like that. But then you had people still wanting to come and meet. And it tells you the convening power of the Ghana Digital and Innovation Week. It's become like the program to attend for the year as a digital and innovation gathering. So we're excited about it. I think everybody is excited about it. Hopefully, the third day, which is when we wind down activities, and then also make a pledge for next year in between the now and also the next Ghana Digital and Innovation Week. What is it that partners can do together? What is it that we can do together? What issues can we promote? What projects can we work on so that we can come back and be talking about them as we are talking this year? And that's very important for us. And of course, there's a little bit of entertainment as well. So we are hoping that a lot more people will be there so that we can network heavily and be able to work in between the programs.
I'm glad the consortium working on it are more like industry people. So there's a lot of context. You know which issues that are pressing that needs to be solved. Kudos to you.
Thank you very much. Kudos to all of us. We're all promoting it.
Great. So that's it for What Happened in Tech. It was brought to you by Bear Connect. So Bear Connect is an all-in-one platform where you can sell and grow your business online. Check them out at bearconnect.com. Over to you, Akweley.
Thank you very much, Yaw. So we've already started the conversations. And yes, we are talking about driving a digital transformation agenda through the Ghana Hubs network. And you've heard a lot from Yaw Adu already. So kindly talk to us about your journey to become the chairperson of the Ghana Hubs network.
Wow, it's been a long journey. It started in 2017 when a group of us, about 15 innovation hubs in Ghana, came together. At the point, it was like about 2/3 of them were in Accra. And there's a few of them outside Accra, in Kumasi. And so when we met at iSpace, at that time at Laboni, what we wanted to do was to create that bigger platform where all of us can collaborate. So that collaboration thing has been with us for a long while, because already the 15 hubs that met, of course, they were doing their own thing. ecosystem players. They were doing their own thing, but we needed to be able to work together, be able to advocate for the right policies that would ensure that there's an enabling environment for startups to thrive, and for digital innovations also thrive. And so when we came together, we said that, okay, we'll form the Ghana Technology and Business Hubs Network.
Okay.
So over time, the name changed to Ghana Hubs Network.
Why did it change?
We needed to change it because, innovation hubs were not just technology and business, right? But when we were starting, we're mainly technology, business, community innovation hubs coming together. It wasn't that diverse. So as we grew, and now we are over 75, and we grew, and then also diversity came in. We needed to change it to, so it was between Ghana Innovation Hubs Network, which was too long. How are you going to say it? GHIN? We said, okay, we'll do GHN, Ghana Hubs Network. And then also we needed to define what a hub is. It took us 2 years.
Wow. 2 years?
2 years.
To define what a hub is.
What a hub is.
So what's the hub?
So a hub is a place of convening.
Okay.
So Hubtel is a hub, right?
I love the play of words.
Hubtel is a hub, is a hub for, is it telco?
You have to ask Alex.
But the hub is a place of convening, a place where especially young people can meet, share ideas, work together on projects and initiatives, develop applications that address some of the challenges that we have. And so a typical hub should have a space for networking, should have a space for incubating startups. Not all hubs are incubating startups or accelerating startups. Some hubs provide emerging skills building, right? So they are building skills. Others add the part about incubating and accelerating startups. Others also add maker spaces. So earlier on today, I was in a session on maker spaces. I'll talk about it later. But there's that connection between maker spaces and hubs, because most of these hubs are maker spaces already. Why? Because when incubating startups, you want to be able to have a feel of the products, the end products, right? So they will be prototyped. And in prototyping, you have to have a maker space.
Maker space, yeah.
Some of them you need to be able to use 3D printers, CNC machines to be able to prototype them. And so some hubs would have very solid, maker spaces. Some hubs are more maker spaces.
Like Kumasi.
Like Kumasi, for instance. Or you find if you go to Hubtel Academy or other hubs that are also available. But these hubs provide that service for startups, so that startups wouldn't have to go elsewhere to be able to prototype their ideas or prototype their services. And so that's the nature of a hub. So to be able to join the Ghana Hubs Network, for instance, you need to have a space. You need to be registered with the government of Ghana. Because we, as a hub, now you can't register as a hub. So that's another issue that we are also engaging the GRA. You can't register as a hub. You need to register either as a business, limited by liability, or as a limited by guarantee, which is an NGO status, right? So these two, we play within these two. So there are hubs that are registered purely as businesses, and there are others that are also registered as NGOs or foundations. And so they use that to be able to also, the fact that they are foundation doesn't mean they don't do business. But they use that to be able to have the leverage to raise the kind of funding that is needed for their startups and for also their operations. And then their services are more business-like, because they need to be sustainable. And so you don't want to have a situation where hubs are always dependent on grants. And so they are encouraged to also work on businesses or consulting or ideas that generate money for them as a sustainability issue. And so that's what the nature of a hub is. But if you join the network, we also build resilience. Very important for us, because we know COVID has taught us something. That, when COVID came, we're like 4 years into the hub network engagement. And so it hit us like that. It really affected a lot of the hubs, because a lot of the hubs, their business models tanked, and they needed to build new resilient models, because people were relying on co-working spaces, making money from co-working spaces, like bringing people together, convening. That's where it brought the money. Others were also bringing in, working on partnerships that brought in people from outside, and that gave them money. And so when we had to go under lockdown, everything just stopped. So you use the resources that are left, and then for over a year, most of these hubs were struggling to know what to do. So we needed to come up with a resiliency program that helped the hubs to be able to build on their financial and operational resilience. And so where you needed to also pivot your business model. So from the current model that has tanked into a model that is more resilient. And that's what we did for 2 years, and brought most of the hubs back onto the different pedestal, helping them to build, collaborate more together, leverage resources. So for instance, there are hubs that have bigger spaces. So they also, brought other hubs together and said, okay, I have bigger spaces. Why don't you come and use it instead of going to hire a new place? So we encourage that more collaborations, more sharing of resources, and then also sharing of expertise. So we had a talent exchange that ensured that if you don't have an accountant, right, but we know that a hub in Tamale or a hub in Koforidua somewhere has a very good accountant that understands the accounting processes to ensure that you're able to build financial resiliency. You make use of that accountant.
Okay.
You
That's
share.
like collaborating.
Yes, collaborating and sharing, and so that the cost, you reduce your cost instead of, so you are sharing spaces, we are sharing expertise, we are collaborating on projects and initiatives. We are still encouraging them to do more, and even collaborating to incubate and accelerate startups, because we know hubs that are very good in acceleration, right? And we know those are very good in incubation. Others that are also maker spaces. And so when we are engaging the hubs, we are connecting them to one another across the regions to ensure that the resources that are scarce are shared and are also utilized very effectively.
Yeah. So there's one important topic that, I mean, most people, when you mention hubs, most people are very curious about.
Right.
So that has to do with the fact how hubs are impacting entrepreneurial culture in Ghana.
Right.
Since you are here and then you lead the hubs network, maybe we can talk small about that. Talk a little bit about how you guys are driving the entrepreneurial culture. For most people getting into tech, they enter the hub first before they started to either got to start to build an interest for tech, even build a career in tech, even get the drive to start a company. So like how has it been, and how is it?
Well, the very essence of the hub is also to drive that entrepreneurial culture, because if hubs are incubating startups, startups are set up by entrepreneurs. I mean, they may not call themselves, they call themselves startup founders, but they're entrepreneurs largely, right? So it starts from there. But it also starts from the ideation stage, because you don't just become a startup, right? You need to have an idea. And that idea is where is a seed, right? So that seed is nurtured at the hub. So in the pre-seed stage, the seed stage, and also the startup stage. Startup is when you've been able to polish your idea, and you want to be able to, build a company anew. So that becomes like that startup, right? And then you move on after incubating that startup to a point where, okay, you have a couple of customers that, and your products are out there. You want to be able to test it. So you want to be able to accelerate your impact, right? So you move on to acceleration, where you're able to scale whatever you're doing, whether it's a product or services that you are providing, you're able to scale that. And so the whole point about the hubs is about entrepreneurship. It's about doing things for yourself. It's about creating jobs. It's about impacting the local economy. And I think that my focus now as chairperson for the Ghana Hubs Network is to hammer on that, is to build on that, because at some point in our work, people were thinking that we're just some ivory towers elsewhere. We're not making an impact. So we needed to show, not just write about them, but we needed to show at the community level, make sure that we get hubs to redirect and pivot their service product and service models in the community where they are.
Okay.
So the hubs needed to build local ecosystems. So work with local churches, work with local community leaders, work with government agencies, work with private sector individuals, in the community, so that they can accelerate the kind of ventures that you are working on. It can accelerate the impact that you are making. And once you do that, a lot more ecosystem players at the location where you are get to know about you. Before then, you can partner with others within the network to be able to expand and reach out to other markets. So that's been the core of what we do in terms of ensuring that we're able to be at that center where we promote entrepreneurship. So it's not surprising that you are saying that hubs have been at the forefront of doing so, because that's the essence of what we do.
I mean, I don't want this to sound as if we're interviewing you about your job. I still do have some questions.
Please do.
Because I know some hubs who are, fund managers, of course. They work with development partners to give funding for some of the startups that run through their programs. And so, as the chairman of the Hubs Network, how do you hold hubs who are not, forward with some of the funding that they receive to some of the
it's a very tough question.
Startups who are part of their house.
I will use this analogy by Chairman Rollins.
Okay.
Right?
Chairman Rollins.
Rollins, I mean, may his soul rest in peace. You know, he used to have this saying that when you have granules, you have granules. You are eating granules, you are enjoying the granules. Then one bad one comes in there, it spoils everything. So I understand where you're coming from, where we've tried a lot, to get to move away from the negative vibes of some of these programs. But of course, they come up. And of course, as a leader, what you do is you don't run away from problems. But if you do face them, you address them. So as and when these issues come up, we do address them. And I think that we try to also get the hubs not to punch above their weights, right? So for instance, if you are doing a program and you know that there's another hub that has also done that program already, why don't you partner together, right? Why don't you work together? So that, because there are hubs that are very good with attracting funding and ensuring that whatever funding has to go to startups goes to the startup. Well, I mean, we are a network of over 75 hubs. Not all of them are would adhere to some of these issues. So we have a tiered program where we have hubs in good standing. Hubs, top tier hubs that
how many are they?
75 at the moment.
No, the top tier.
You want people to beat me up? I'll keep that.
Let's give percentage. Percentage, like percentage.
Top tier ones, you give about 40%.
40%. Okay.
Yeah, 40%. And I think that those are hubs, that big hubs that are able to. I don't want to mention any name and leave others out, but those are top tier hubs that are able to drive the ecosystem, right? Drive the ecosystem, build consortium, and ensure that others move along. But we are not leaving behind, they say, the 10 or 15%, because what happens is that you need the top tier ones to be doing well, followed by the mid-section ones, so that we can find out what the challenges are with the 15, 20%, so that we can push them up there, and we can have others also support them. But largely, what we do is yearly we have programs that are strengthening the capacity of hubs. So we want a lot more to be in the top tier, because of what we do, we are promoting the entrepreneurship. We are demonstrating that through incubation and acceleration of startups, that that's the way to go if you want to create jobs, if you want to move away from that mentality of going over to look for jobs, to a mentality of creating jobs, right? And so our what we say to government and also to private sector is to partner with us. Now, these days, there are a whole lot of organizations that are also setting up hubs, right? Instead of working with the network to be able to push that idea.
I think almost most banks have hubs now.
Yes.
Most schools, universities have hubs now.
It's okay to do that, but you need to partner with the network of hubs. Because when a bank sets up a hub, the bank may have branches spread across the country, right? If you work with the hub network, you're able to also reach, because your banks are not set up to operate hubs in the regions. Your banks are set up to be financial institutions. but hubs are set up to be hubs. So what you do is that you have an idea of what you want to achieve, right? So you work with hubs. Maybe at the national level, you want to keep that hub closer to you so that you have oversight. But partner with the Ghana Hubs Network so that across the regions, you're able to work with the hubs to spread that impact, so that your regional teams can concentrate. They are not trained to be hub players; they are trained to be financial players, right? But we can build in financial instruments that turn out to be okay, fintechs and things like that. But they are built at the hub level through that collaboration, because fintechs are being incubated and accelerated across the country. I think that's the point that some banks don't get. That they think that they can incubate everything at their end. That's not your core job. It's not your core job. The same with universities. The same with today I was on a session with the University of Ghana. They're trying to come up with an initiative. The recommendation I gave them was that University of Ghana is in Accra, right? But students come all over Ghana to Accra to attend the University of Ghana. And so it will be better that you bootstrap and partner with the Ghana Hubs Network, hubs across the country, so that when students are at Legon and they are setting up their ventures, of course, third year, final year, they are gone, their ventures don't die. So if they go back to their regions, they have partnerships, because there are partnerships there. They can work with partners in the regions to be able to work. So that's that. I mean, that's what I would say in terms of the needed partnerships. But of course, I mean, as I use the example of bag granuts, we always have those issues. But as and when they crop up, we try to address them. But we also try to build resilience with the hubs, make sure that they are doing the right thing, make sure that we are also setting up standards, we are certifying them in some way or the other, so that we don't have a situation where they one or two of them do something and then the walls crumble on all of us.
Forgive us, we are entrepreneurs. Interested in this conversation.
Yes, it's okay. I mean, it's okay.
So, but then I also want to know your journey. Right from
yes. So I was speaking about that. So I was speaking about the journey through how I became the chairman, right?
Yeah, but
I think that it got lost
from the educational point of view.
Education. Well, okay, let me start from SHS. I went to Prempeh College.
Okay. Yeah, senior.
It's the best school in Ghana.
I think you are the second Prempeh College.
Yeah.
Senior interview.
Yeah, we are special. And now Prempeh College has moved on from NSMQ. That's what don't get. Don't get it. We are now in robotics. We are world champions. Multiple world champions in robotics. And I think that's a very good thing. But I also hold the point that the robotics should also be tailored towards problem solving skills. It's not just about fanciful projects, but also directed towards problem solving skills. So from Prempeh College, I went to the Catholic University, and then I've been schooling too much. I went to University of Cape Coast. So I combined technology background with development and history.
Okay. So you did arts in Prempeh or science?
No, science.
Science. Okay.
Science. And then did computer science at the Catholic University. Yes. At that time, we were calling it Information Communication Sciences and Technology.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Everything's on.
But what are some of the key...
The key issues, what I loved about was information management, right? Okay. So I like management. So information management, operations research, communications, programming, software development, and things like that. So everything. Oh yeah. It was rich because the Catholics have a way. Even those who were behind us, they were doing accounting. Those who were doing computer science, they were doing accounting.
You come out
French,
well-rounded.
They were doing French. They were doing accounting, and they were also delving deeper into communications.
Okay.
Because there was this idea that technical people didn't know how to talk. I think
it's still there.
No. But we need.
True.
But you see that education. Sort of cut that, because if you meet anybody from Catholic University in our era and was technical, could talk well, could explain. But the idea is that you need to pitch. At that time, we were learning how to pitch.
Wow.
And so we're doing presentations.
What year was this?
2006. Okay. 2003, 2006.
Mm-hmm.
So we're doing presentations.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing presentations. We're doing all of these communication things that ordinarily communication skills for somebody who's a technical person, right? So you had people saying, you talk too much. I said, they say, I talk too much. How? I need to explain that technical thing. I need to explain to you for you to understand.
True.
Because if you don't understand, I don't make money.
Yeah.
I don't have to go and hire a marketing person to do that. And I can do that myself.
True.
So we studied marketing, we studied economics, we studied social analysis. Can you imagine? Social analysis, we're studying logic. We're studying, of course, the Catholics will also let you study Catholic social teaching, right? Logic, philosophy, all of these things we're studying. So you became rounded in your approach, in how you develop solutions, in how you ensure that you are co-creating with others, and you just go and sit in some room, as people used to do. They'll go and sit in some room, code. When they come back, the thing is not user-friendly.
Okay.
So from there, I went to, I worked a bit. I went to the Swan magazine.
Okay.
I worked in the Swan magazine with artisans. Yes, with artisans. What was like a computer science person doing in the Swan magazine? But at that time, I saw that the artisans were working with BUSAC. The BUSAC was the Business Sector Advocacy Challenge, funded by Danida, DFID, and things like that. On their own, they were advocating for integration of technology into their operations. This is an opportunity. So I quickly, at that time, we had a firm. We brought the first ICT newspaper. We had a firm who were training ICT Ghana.
Okay.
So the first ICT newspaper at that time was mainly in Kumasi, right? So but we were collaborating with the Kofi Annan Center of Excellence. So Dorothy Gordon is somebody I know very well, right from my undergraduate days, because I was an ambassador for Catholic University. So we went to they came to us at that time because they knew we were writing this ICT newspaper. We're looking at how technology could improve the local sector and things like that. So I think one of their leaders saw it and said that we need to go to these people for them to train us. So they came to us so that we could train them on how to appreciate technology in their business. So when they came to us, we also worked with them on BUSAC, and eventually I ended up working with the Swan Magazine Industrial Development Organization. I moved from an ICT tutor. At that time, we sort of developed a curriculum based on their knowledge of vehicles, so to be able to teach them effectively. And so we started that, and then I moved to become the general manager for SMIDO. At the time, we called it SMIDO, Swan Magazine Industrial Development Organization.
Wow.
And then from there, I went to the University of Cape Coast, because then I saw myself doing development.
Okay.
Because I had a technical person, but I was in the development field, working with DFID, working with Danida and others, trying to improve the livelihood of urban dwellers, especially those who were urban poor, in this one magazine. So I felt that, I needed to study development. I needed to immerse myself in it, because there was some concept I didn't understand. So I went to the University of Cape Coast. I studied governance and sustainable development. So when I did that, it opened an opportunity. So I left the university. Well, I deferred my course. A master's program. So I deferred it and went to the US. I became the first Ghanaian Atlas Core Fellow.
Okay.
So Atlas Core was like a management fellowship for emerging leaders. So I became the first Atlas Core Fellow. And then after 18 months, I came back. The 12 to 18 months, I came back. And when I came back, I went back to the university to complete my program. And then after that, I started doing my own things, setting up firms, working on projects and things like that. And set up Kumasi Center for Lifelong Learning. It didn't work. I moved on.
Was it the hub?
It wasn't a hub. It was at that time the concept of hub was still manifesting. I mean, like 2010, 2011, 12. It was still manifesting. It was after 2012 that the issue came. Became like, this is something that needed to be pushed. So in 2013, you realize that hubs started emerging in the scene. For instance, Hubtel Academy, where I'm board chair, it started in 2013, right? But most of the hubs, when they started, they also solving local development challenges, right? At the moment, they were building apps, they were incubating startups at that point, providing essential services, right? And from there, 2014, 2015, 16, and 17. 2017 was a very like epoch moment, right? That's when the Ghana Hubs Network was founded. So you see that a lot more hubs had been on the scene. We didn't want to work in silos, and so we had to come together, take advantage of the prevailing opportunities. And in 2017, when we had a new government, it was heavy on digitization, right? The digital economy, digital issues. So they were speaking our language. So we needed to, come together, set up something that would also ensure that we are in line of policy to be able to benefit from whatever initiatives or projects that were available. So some of the hubs had support from these initiatives that were being funded by the World Bank to be able to improve their operations, enhance their reach, and more importantly, help set up new hubs, right? And then,
can we talk about some of the initiatives and then the projects?
So some of them were the idea of digitalization, building skills, e-skills. So there were a lot of focus on e-skills, and even focus on e-skills that are gender bias. So e-skills for girls and a lot more. You find out that there are a lot of the ladies who are in the tech ecosystem now that also benefited from the Ghana Hubs Network and government initiatives, especially the partnership with the Ministry of Communication and Digitalization from then on. But what grew our hub size a lot was in 2019 when we had the 25 days of WOW. So
25 days of
WOW.
Was it the one you guys traveled?
Yes. So we're moving across the originally 10 regions, right?
The original 10.
Yes, the original 10. No offense. No offense. Now we're at 16. But at the point there were 10 regions. So we moved across. In 25 days, we toured all of these regions. And what we're doing was very interesting. We're holding policy hackathons, trying to understand the nature of entrepreneurship, the challenges that people have, the opportunities that are available, and documenting these at every region, coming up with policy briefs, engaging local ecosystem actors, and also telling people about the work of the hubs, right? So we took our work to the streets and ensured that at that time, I was not chairperson then. At that time, I was project coordinator for that project, right? I had started in 2017 as a secretary to the board, and I moved on to projects, led this national project. And then from there, it grew the hub size for over 300%. Because at that time, I think we were about 20. Then after that, we're almost 60. So almost 300% increment. And I think that was a moment where a lot more people got to know about the hubs, because we're worried that a lot more of us were doing a lot of work, but it wasn't being known. So we had to take our work to the streets. We needed to be in the regions to tell people about the work that we are doing, and to draw awareness to our work and support for our work as well. And most importantly, because our local hubs were hosting us, we're also drawing attention to the work that they are doing in the regions, right? Ensuring that they get the necessary traction, they build the necessary traction, and also support from their ecosystem. And more importantly, also sort of encourage other people to set up hubs. So in the bus for 25 days, we had innovators, we had policymakers, we had individuals, different people, entrepreneurs, digital enthusiasts who were in the bus. And in each region, we'll hold a policy hackathon, we'll do stakeholder dialogue, we'll release a press release, we'll release videos, just letting people know about what is out there. So if you go to Facebook and you do hashtag 25 days of WOW, you'll find all of these regional programs. Or you do Kumasi with Day, WOW with Day, Kofodia with Day. You see all of those trends coming up. But it helped us a lot in terms of going into the regions, telling people about what we are doing, encouraging people to come in the ecosystem, and it helped to build our ecosystem. And thanks to support from GIZ Ghana, at that time it was Make IT, GIZ Make IT, and then also the Konrad Adenauer Stiftung, CAS, who helped us to support with funding and technical support to be able to help us. And we also partnered with I for Policy on the aspect of the policy hackathons across the regions. So when we were done, we had a report, very rich report, and so we were able to work with other ecosystem actors like the Association of Ghana Startups, Chamber of Entrepreneurs, other actors, Ghana Digital Centers, and others. Then we came together, formed the technical committee to work on the Ghana Startup and Innovation Bill.
Okay,
it's still in the works. Still in the works.
The last time we spoke to Josiah, he mentioned it's still in the works, and then we should, pressure government or parliament to pass it.
Of course, you're all part of the ecosystem, and I think that it's still in the works. It might not be passed this year, of course, because of the obvious, right? But what happened for it to take that long was the approach that we've taken to ensure that we are engaging extensively. There've been bills that have been passed, and after they are passed, you don't hear about them anymore. We want to avoid that, because we want to be able to use the Ghana Startup and Innovation Bill to set up an agency that would help support innovation and startup building in Ghana, right? So we needed to engage almost every other sector organization and be able to convince policymakers, be able to convince government, private sector, and academia as to why we need to set up another agency, right? Because people are saying, like, there are too many agencies. Why wouldn't you piggyback on any of the agencies, but you want to set up a new one? But we felt that we needed a new one because it's a new approach, right? We needed that new one. If we're not getting a ministry for startups and innovation, we needed an agency that will push that. And sector ministries that will support that. And we've been very, very lucky to have the Ministry of Communications and Digitalization, and also the Ministry of Environment, Science, Technology, and Innovation backing us as sector ministries to be able to speak in cabinet about it, and also at the right time when it gets to cabinet and through Parliament, they can be able to speak to it and ensure that cabinet really assent to it faster and gets it out there as an act.
Great.
So you kept saying the Ghana Startup and Innovation Bill. I always used to hear of it as Ghana Startup Bill.
Well, we needed to bring in innovation because startups drive innovation. We cannot decouple that. We can't go and also work on an innovation bill. So we need to bring them together so that startups, because startups are defined by their level of innovation. If you say you're a startup and you're not innovating, you are not a startup. You are an SME.
That's a punch.
Because SMEs are not sort of benchmarked on innovation, right? They are benchmarked on the level of money you are making, number of people you are employed, and things like that. But startups, the first and last thing is on innovation. Are you bringing something new? The scale at which you are innovating and scaling up and things like that. So we needed to bring those two together so that they act in the interest of the of the players in the ecosystem.
Yeah. Are there some other policies that as a hub you guys are working on?
Well, previously we were working on the entrepreneurship policy, but it got merged into that startup and innovation bill because when we were moving around doing the policy hackathons, they were more on entrepreneurship bill, but it got submerged into that. But we've also been involved in not just bills, because the work is not just about coming up with bills, but also strengthening the ecosystem, right? So working with different agencies, trying to let them understand the work that we are doing, and also ensuring that once they understand us, we also understand that we're able to build synergies together. And so we are constantly engaging with government. We are constantly engaging with the private sector, because, as you know, within the hubs fraternity, about 95% of them are set up by private entities. Hubs are not the
Is that like is that an issue? Like,
it's not an issue.
It's not an issue.
It's not an issue. I think
why shouldn't government be driving some effort in that regard? Since
yes,
they have a lot of
through policy and also funding.
Yeah, they just some
policy and funding. Yeah. Because the what governments can do best will be to create that enabling environment, build infrastructure. So, for instance, earlier when I was talking about the challenges that we found when we moved around with the road to GDRW, the fact that infrastructure is an issue as we move away from Accra, data connectivity and the quality of it, quality of calls. So that's a government area. You need to work with the private sector so that we're able to enhance the infrastructure, build the data infrastructure, the digital infrastructure that would ensure that the hubs will continue to thrive. Yeah. At least now, now at the moment, at least we have the Ghana card, we have the digital address system. People play down on these things, but if you're in the space, you'll know that these two, for instance, are driving a lot of traction for startups, especially startups that are into deliveries, startups that are also into remote work and delivering also services remotely. They need that. They need those the Ghana card and those services, and also the the interoperability, especially with the financial systems talking to each other, mobile systems talking to each other. Very important. It's open a new vista for all of these startups to be able to thrive, and for them to even move from startups into a scaled entity.
We spoke to Affinity, a digital bank which is built on top of Momo.
Yes,
like it's so
right.
If Momo wasn't there, that could have been possible.
It couldn't have been possible. Yeah. Of course, it's not to say that Momo is a creation of policy solely.
Yeah, but policy supported.
Policy support would be able to enable it, because Momo was there. I mean, Momo was there for some time. All of the other support services were there, but they were not interoperable.
Yeah.
Right. So if you kept your money on Telecel wallet or Vodafone wallet, you were not able to
move it before you can send it around.
Or you move your funds from your bank into your Momo and vice versa. So that interoperability has helped a lot in terms of driving business. Yeah.
So we have been talking about innovation. I also want to understand from the Ghana Hubs Network's point of view, how have you been able to leverage some of the emerging technologies that we see to solve local challenges, and what role does innovation play in community transformation?
I would say it's big, and that's why we are part of the consortium driving the idea of the Ghana Digital and Innovation Week, and that's why the theme of this year is so important: innovating together, collaborating for digital impact. Because, and then the idea that we didn't want everything to be centered in the capital, because to be able to drive the needed local level development, you need to move resources into the regions. You need to be able to ensure that infrastructure in the regions are also improved. And by so doing, you are creating that enabling environment, not just for startups and hubs. You are creating that enabling environment for even businesses, right? Even businesses, if you go to some of our hubs are hosting different, because they have co-working spaces, they are hosting businesses, right?
I went to Japan last month.
Yes.
And I learned Hubtel works from there when they go to Takoradi.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? A big organization like Hubtel is in Takoradi. They are leveraging the resources of Duapa Workspace, and that's what we do encourage within the ecosystem, because instead of Hubtel going in to hire a new place, Hubtel is now embedded in that ecosystem of the Western region, and so they can benefit from people who are developing different applications and things like that to be able to complement the sector. And so in doing so, hubs are the leading in building emerging tech skills around blockchains, augmented reality, AI, and things like that, through the necessary partnerships. Why? Because it's needed. And I think that when we started, most of these skills that were built were looking outside. So like remote jobs, and also people being pushed to go outside. But increasingly, in the Western region, for instance, the minister is an applications developer. You know that?
No, I don't.
So the Western regional minister is an application developer. He's developed applications from senior high school until he, but more importantly, he's also embedded in the ecosystem. is part of one of the hubs, right? It's embedding the ecosystem.
He used to actively work with HOAD.
He's still actively working with HOAD, of course, but it's not just with HOAD, but the whole Western regional ecosystem, right? Trying to providing them the necessary encouragement, working with them, and being there for them, right? Being an ear to them in terms of providing advisory, and also linking them to government services, right? So there's an app on sanitary services that they've introduced in the Western region, right?
Okay.
And so there's a collaboration within the ecosystem, and I think it's something that other regional ministers can also pick up in support of the ecosystem. It makes the hubs, because the hubs in the Western region are more confident because they have that upper power sort of supporting them and leveraging them. So if you have other regional ministers, even if they are not application developers, but are also paying attention to what is happening, because as regional ministers, you can't create jobs. It is the hubs and the startups that would help create jobs. Yours is to coordinate, create that enabling environment, push resources to where they are supposed to be pushed, so that those whose jobs it is to create jobs, to create opportunities, create entrepreneurial endeavors, do so, appropriately. And I think that's what is needed at the moment. That's what the hubs are increasingly engaging on. And so if you go across the regions, they're also more engaging with their local ecosystem, ensuring that they become relevant, ensuring that they build the necessary skills like blockchain that fintechs are now leveraging to get to the last mile because of the transparency involved. And so I think the sky is the limit at the moment, and in terms of what can be done by the hubs in support of the local level development. And I think this is the time, and the call goes out to government and its affiliates at the regions to be able to work with the Ghana Hubs Network, work with the various innovation hubs across the country, because we understand what they're doing. I mean, in terms of digitization, in terms of innovation that they want to drive, we understand that they have to work with us to be able to pass the bill, the startup and innovation bill, so that it sort of opens the new vista for startups in Ghana, because then startups at least for 7 years will not be able to pay. Will not pay tax.
Yeah, we like that.
Will not pay tax, but they are not paying. They will not be paying tax, but they are adding value to the economy. And I think that's huge.
And also for
even
a lot more confidence.
Yes. Yeah. So after 7 years, they move out of the program, and then they become fully fledged organizations that can be on their own. But we need that incubation for 7 years. And that we at least ecosystem players have been able to work on that bill. We need government to be able to support it. At least that support is coming from the two ministries I mentioned earlier. And as we move forward, it needs to be taken on board and passed quickly, so that we can set up the various structures that would continuously support the hubs or the startups as well. And then as we do that, their quest to create more jobs will be realized, because a lot more people will move into the sector. Now we can work with the universities to be able to expand and build new curricula that focuses on problem solving, focuses on creating jobs, soft skills that are needed, that you mentioned. And more importantly, we're able to build a new generation of people and of entrepreneurs and startup founders whose mandate would include helping support the local economy.
I was about to end with your vision for Ghana House Network, but you have touched a bit on it. And I mean, the future is bright.
Yes.
I see. Yes. I mean, do you want to add a little bit more?
Yeah, just a little bit to it, because my people will be listening to me. Okay. I made a promise to them when I started that we've built a lot of skills. We are continuing to build skills. However, we need to be more visible. In our regions, visible in our districts, and visible in our communities. And so when development issues are being discussed, key issues are being discussed, hubs will have to sit at the table.
Yeah.
Because of the nature of the work that we are doing. Yeah. And I think that's the new energy that I bring in terms of, and it's because of I combine development and my technical aspect as well. So, but in development, one of the key areas that I continuously push is leveraging entrepreneurship and innovation to push the boundaries of development. And I think that it's time. Ghana the startup and innovation digital ecosystem in Ghana is very ripe. I mean, if you move across Africa, you see that the kind of thing that we are doing in Ghana is not evident. It's not even in Rwanda. I'm telling you. I'm telling you, the Rwandans are learning from us. The Kenyans are learning from us. It's just that funding continues to go to Kenya. Yeah. And so if you do a
we are not telling our stories enough.
Yes. And if you do even our music is better on the continent. When people hear about it, we don't play our music. If we play our music, if you go to clubs in say in Kenya, you play Nigerian music, you see Ghanaian music, one or two persons like the energy that they go along with the Ghanaian music is different.
And I think Kenyan friends who can actually do this.
And I think that the musical group or whatever it is, musical, they need to work with the hubs so that they can innovate in that sector and ensure that they put in place innovative marketers that will push the boundaries of our music, across the regions. But what I'm trying to say is that Ghana, we have done a lot, and we are continuously doing a lot, and we need to tell our stories better. We need to be able to step up, and more especially as we have the African Continental Free Trade Area here in Accra. We need to be able to leverage that and then reach more markets, take our services out there. Our skilled people should be out there across Africa. If you look at the ecosystems in Kenya, for instance, it's dominated by foreigners. But in Ghana, it's not like that.
I argue. Most of the companies have a lot foreign influence. Most of them.
Yeah.
But it's not as widespread as other places.
Yes. So, but in Ghana, it's a bit different. In Ghana, people are pushing the boundaries, and just not just in Accra, as you find in other countries in Africa, it's only in the capital. But in Ghana, we are pushing the boundaries, going into the regions, and ensuring that working with the different partners to be able to improve the digital infrastructure in the regions, and ensure that hubs make impact in their regions. And I think that's a trump card that we hold, that we need to be able to tell across Africa and share.
That's like, it's fantastic. The outside of Accra focus.
Yes.
Like if you're in Accra, like you almost need like a bubble. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So our listeners, I believe we've learned a lot about the ecosystem as we have spoken with Mr. Yaw Adu-Gyamfi, who is the chairman of the Ghana Hubs Network. So before we leave, we want to mention some few opportunities that you could leverage within this period. So Y Combinator has opened its applications, and Y Combinator's winter batch, that is 2025 January, right?
Yes, 2025, yeah.
Yes, it's open. So if you are a startup, you could also apply for funding from Y Combinator. We also have Google for Startups application. It's a 3-month hybrid accelerator program for seed to Series A Black-led technology startups, and it's by Google. So do explore these two opportunities and really get enough support for your startups if you're an entrepreneur. And I believe for even those who are not entrepreneurs, the young people in the digital space, you've really gotten useful information. And you know that we have over 70 hubs in the country, at least. We have hub in every region. And you could leverage on these hubs to drive your own innovations in the digital space. So this has been Building Bytes, and see you in our next episode. Thank you.